Guys, welcome to the Save Penny podcast, where every other week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. As always, I'm Shanae Howard, and with me is Tommy Shelby.
Hello.
And Ryan, the Beard Rubber Robinson.
Beard. That sounds like condoms for your face.
Beard rubber. Yeah.
It's like dental dams, but more.
I gotta hold on, baby. I'm gonna put on my beard rubber.
Gross.
Well, like they have to put it in their mouth and roll it on for you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It would be like it would be like that.
I couldn't think of anything more clever because you were just rubbing your beard. I couldn't think of. No, we're stopping. Go to the open play. No, I don't want to go down.
It would be like that. It would be like that scene in Bob's Burgers where Tina had that boyfriend who kissed her whole face.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I haven't seen that episode, and I now don't want to. But that's a pretty decent Yoshi sound.
Oh. That's the sound he would make when he would put her nose and lips in his mouth. So
I don't.
That's pretty good.
That's enough podcasting for me today.
Sure.
You guys
Sure. I get it. I get it.
So I've been playing Witcher 3.
Still?
Oh, yeah? That game's long as fuck. Right?
Well, not necessarily the main game, but I can't remember because it's been a while.
They got that Blood In, Blood Out expansion too.
Yeah, I got the Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah.
I also got the Heart of Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
DLC. But yeah, so I thought I had the DLC before, but I didn't. So we ended up. So because I'm playing the game from Berto's account, I beat the game and I thought there was going to be more to it, and I was like, oh. So I went and tried to log in on his computer to his Steam, but he has an authentication code thing. So I wait for him to wake up and be like, I need you to buy the DLC on your stuff so I can play it.
Like he's your dad.
Not gonna make any jokes right now.
Sure.
But so the I want to call it the Heart of Rock and Roll, but the Hearts of Stone DLC is pretty small. So I got all the Gwent cards. I've done all the alchemy stuff that I can do. There's two decorations that you can't get unless you kill creatures. But the creatures that you have to kill, I was they're just chilling. I'm not gonna kill them. That's stupid. But little did I know, I was fucking myself over by being a decent person.
Sure, don't do that.
So then I was trying to get all the markers, and I spent 4 or 5 hours trying to do all the Skellig ones. And Skellig is a sailing map. They're all small archipelagos. And I've given up on that goal with this game because I find Skellig so boring. So boring. The people and the storylines in it were cool, but yeah. So, but the Blood In, Blood Out DLC is fantastic. It adds a whole new region to the map. I just got the Grandmaster armor for the feline armor because that's my favorite one. I also think it looks the best. I was looking up online, once I got the Grandmaster feline, what do people consider the best armor in that game? And I realized that, and I think that because I'm just not used to this in a lot of games, that they because the game is pretty easy. If you're playing it on basically any mode, I've played all of I've switched the difficulty, and I just
and what a badass.
Yeah, man.
No, I've just been playing it a lot. We all know I'm bad at video games. Come on.
No, you're funky.
Yeah, I play, but I actually changed the difficulty, and I realized that at the point that I'm at, none of this matters, so I can just kind of do whatever I want. So I've just been playing around, and I have plenty of gold, so I've just been regularly resetting all my stats. Because they also added this mutagen feature that uses ability points. So I was playing around with that. So it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, the secret of the use.
Yeah, TCRI.
Yeah.
Because witches are mutants, you see.
Sure. Like the turtles.
Yes. He's a grown-up mutant. No, I can't think of anything clever. I'm done.
Grown-up mutant white man sword. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Jinx.
Shanae, what's the biggest monster you've killed in The Witcher?
The biggest?
Yeah, the biggest.
I'd say like size, like the Toad Prince is pretty big, but you can't really kill him because the cutscene stops you beforehand. But I was going to.
It's a big toad.
I'd say the toughest are. It wasn't even like the main bad guy in the main game. I'd say the toughest are the golems. For me, because I like doing the fast attacks, but because they're stone golems, your sword doesn't do like a whole bunch of damage. I don't know, but I really like a lot of the vampire fights. They're not difficult because I've always put like a bunch of points into like the fire ability because I'm just like catch on fire. And then I'll attack one, and the other ones will just like flail around in the flames. It's what I do for crowd control.
Sure.
Yeah, like the Berxa fights are normally pretty interesting, and also they're normally pretty interesting. Like, or vampires, not just the Berxa. And there's a lot, and you get to hang out the Vampire Regis a lot in the Blood and Blood Out DLC. So, yeah, I don't know necessarily how far I'm in the game, but I'm only like 2 levels behind like the highest level quest I have, so I don't imagine there's much more. But like if you're not gonna get both DLC, which is fine, I would say so far like I can't remember the real name of it now. I just keep calling it Blood In and Blood Out.
It's called Blood and Wine.
Yeah, there you go.
Blood and Wine.
Blood In, Blood Out.
Blood Sport.
So yeah, in the Bloodsport DLC, I don't think there's much left, but there's significantly more content in the Blood and Wine than there is in the Hearts of Stone. Yeah, no, but I've done all that. I played a little bit of the Arceus, but I've been mainly doing it on Witcher, but I'm about to do a little bit of traveling, so I'm going to take my Switch with me, and I'll probably play Arceus on the flight. So I'll talk about that.
That's the Pokemon game?
Yeah. On there. And then I played Halo for a little bit with my friend Sean. We've been playing Infinite, but we also went back and played and continued where I said before we're going through all the Master Chief Collection. But we had a hiccup though because the Unreal Engine that they use for the menu kept crashing, so I couldn't get the game to load, and I had to do what a computer owner does, figure out why it keeps crashing.
Gross.
And luckily, I'm married to somebody who's much more technology literate than I am, because I was Googling stuff and nothing I was doing was working. So yet again, I had to go to my dad and ask him to fix it for me.
Did he fix it?
Yeah, he did. Like in 2 minutes. It was embarrassing.
Sure.
But yeah, that's all I've been doing is mainly Witcher. I see why everyone loves the game. I still think, as far as like Western RPGs at this moment, Divinity 2 is my favorite. But The Witcher's like great.
Yeah.
I remember I played, I guess whatever. I don't remember what year The Witcher came out. I think it was like 2015. I think.
I was gonna guess 2016, but I think you're normally better with those dates than I am.
And I remember the one thing I remember about that game is it didn't do a very good job of letting me know when I should be moving on to the next higher level area, and because they throw so many side quests at you, and then before you know it, you're overpowered for the area that you're in, and then you're overpowered for that next area, and then I'm just wiping these dudes out, And then one day I looked at the map, saw all the quest indicators, and I was like, I'll come back to this another time. And that was 7 years ago. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing all the quests.
yeah.
So that's not like a. I know what you mean, but if you do like a bunch of quests that are under level for you, then you don't get that much XP.
hmm
So I definitely encountered the overpowered, but that's just when I up the difficulty on there. But the way that I do it is I just do whatever quest is the lowest rank in my quest list.
I see. That's probably good
Uh,
good practice.
yeah, so I just do that just because I wanted to because I realized in the first couple hours I really liked the game, so I was like, all right, well I'm gonna do it all. Then I was like, oh, Gwent's stupid, and then I hit level 14, and I was like, I like this Gwent.
Sure.
And and the Blood and Wine DLC also adds an entire new Gwent deck and like a quest about it where there's like people that are like Gwent purists and they're like, no, like we have these decks by God, we don't need a new deck. And like you have to like go to the tournament and like fight them over it. It's stupid, but I was like, but I do like the new mechanics in the new Gwent deck. There's like cards where it's like a lower level and has like a little symbol on it, and to indicate like it's like a transforming one. So if you play certain cards, it'll transform them into like another thing. So it'll be like a warrior that turns into like a bear, and it like triples the like little score on it. It's a cool mechanic. I like. There's not really that many that like you can change the card and what it like its bonuses are. So it adds like more depth into like the strategy. Granted, like the first deck that you get is like the best one.
Did you ever get around to downloading that Gwent game?
Nah, I just continue to just play in the game.
Because there's a lot
I
of
looked
Gwent.
at it.
It's all Gwent all the time.
Well, I was looking at it, but then I had but then my battery on my phone popped. Not popped, but puffed up.
Oh yeah.
So I had to switch phones
Yeah.
because I was like every time I touched my phone, I was like, please do not pop this battery where it just explodes in my hand or near my face.
Sure.
And thank you.
Man, you could end up like Two-Face.
I thought about it and I was like, do I want to live this life? Am I cool enough to live this life? But then I realized there's no Batman, so like it'd be kind of pointless.
Don't you think Two-Face wishes there was no Batman and he could just do whatever he wanted?
Well, he's a fucking slacker then.
Yeah.
You need adversity to strengthen your character.
Sure. To be fair, Batman punches very hard. Like he will punch you as hard as he can every time. So
Well, that's another thing. I didn't want like somebody who like thinks they're Batman to punch me. So like, I'm 100 pounds. I'll fucking go down so quick.
oh yeah, you go down like a sack of potatoes immediately.
Oh yeah, it would be instant death.
Like worst villain ever.
Calendar Man could kick my ass for sure.
I heard about Calendar Man recently because I didn't actually know who that was, and I still don't know. Does he have powers? Is he really into calendars? Is he just very good with dates? Why do they call him Calendar Man?
He fucks calendars.
Okay.
That's it.
Sure.
But yeah, what have y'all been playing?
Go ahead, Tom.
I'm still playing King of Fighters 15, and that's really good.
Are you the King of Fighters yet?
Oh no, far from it.
Are you like a
But-
Duke?
Yes.
Sure. Have you been able to find matches?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
There's tons of people playing that game, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like as far as current fighting games out right now, it's got to be the most popular one.
Sure.
It will easily be the best-selling King of Fighters game. You know.
Yeah.
Traditionally, King of Fighters has a lot of international fans.
Yeah, I mean it's mostly South America for sure, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's great. And then
Well, and Central, because Mexico If I remember, I know it like it always like tops the charts in Mexico.
Mm. I've been playing Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, the
Hell
new
yeah.
release of that, and like that's still a lot of fun. What I don't understand about it is like it's a version of the game that's never been released on consoles,
Mm-hmm.
and Sega's not advertising that fact.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I feel like I think a lot of people that bought it last gen, which not a lot of people bought it last gen, but I think a lot of people that did are going to sleep on it because they think it's the exact same thing. You know.
Yeah.
And it's a port of a patch that only went to arcades.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's still a lot of fun. Having a lot of fun with that. And then
You should email Sega and ask them why. Don't
it's because
explain it.
they're bad.
Just send the-
They're bad at
just
marketing.
send them-
That's all that
Send them
is.
one email
Yeah.
that says why.
Yeah. And then a little bit of Fight and Rage. Have you guys heard of Fight and Rage?
Nuh-uh. What is that?
It's a beat 'em up. It's like one of the better beat 'em ups of the last generation. But like, I don't know. Like it's fun. I like the way that it looks, but I think I got spoiled with fucking Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Like I played the fuck out of Streets of Rage.
It's a fantastic game.
Like I'm not far from that platinum. You know, like I put a lot of time in on a fucking beat 'em up. You know,
Yeah.
and like Fight and Rage just feels kind of bare bones in comparison. You know.
Mm.
But it is like it's very good. I can't deny that. But it's just
How many characters do you get to play as?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite character to play as in Streets of Rage 4? Go.
Oh God, I don't know, dude. I mean, I played all of them. You know, like I played all of them a lot to get
Yeah.
the trophies. So
Cherry.
like, picking one's difficult.
Cherry is my answer. I love her. very
Cherry's
much.
okay.
Yeah, with her
Yeah.
guitar. She's got a cool guitar. She'll hit you with it. She'll rock out some chords and hit you with the chords. She can do that. So
Cherry's cool. It's just like I don't know. Like I think that the game, much like a lot of fighting games, prohibits you from doing infinites. But I'm pretty sure Cherry can still do
Yeah.
infinites.
yeah, she's gonna squeeze one out. Squeeze out in a little
Yeah.
bit.
But yeah, that's really it. Just those 3. You know, waiting on games. Thinking about picking up what's that fucking game called? Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm thinking about playing that one.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I have a friend who is gonna be streaming that, but like, I don't typically like to watch streams of games that I plan on buying. I like to go in fresh. So, but the little bit that I have seen of that game looks really cool. I'm gonna look more into it though.
It looks cool, but like, it's just so different from the announcement of that game. You know, like the announcement trailer for that game looks like it's going to be completely different. You know,
Yeah.
than what it ended up being. But like, I'm okay with that. It still looks fun.
They released a little free visual novel prequel.
Yeah.
So I didn't download it because I don't know. I'm not.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing about Persona Arena. If you end up playing that, I don't know. There's a lot of these fighting games
Console
with like.
did you buy it on?
I'm sorry,
What console did you get it on?
PlayStation.
Okay.
I think it's only PlayStation, PC, and Switch right now. But PlayStation is the only one that's going to have lobbies.
Yeah.
But like, I've seen it in several Japanese fighting games more recently, where there's like a VN component to the single player, and like, you are going to be reading that Persona game for fucking hours, you know, like, and you're going to be
the high
doing
score reading.
a little bit a fight here and there, but you are going to be reading for a long time if you're interested in the story of that game.
It is more. That's more interactive than the Strive story mode. Then
Yeah.
because that's just one long movie.
I'm actually looking forward to that new Kirby game.
What is
Oh,
that?
yeah.
What is
I
that
think
game
it's coming
called?
out. It's coming out
The
in a couple
Forgotten
days.
Lands.
Yeah, open world. movie.
Me and my friend Sean were thinking of getting it because we're 4 more games to play together. Because like I'm just kind of.
Is it multiplayer?
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't know that. That's neat.
Uh, yeah, because like I'm not really getting better in Halo, and it's just like getting super frustrating just going into games and just constantly not improving and dying. So it's getting a
Mm,
little discouraging.
yeah.
Well, let me tell you
Uh,
something, Nate. Every Kirby game is easy.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I'm so good at that.
yeah, me
If you just
too.
hand it to me on a plate, I'm so good. If it has a funky mode, golden. Uh, but if it is like constantly funky mode, it's perfect.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, I'm planning on getting that game, and then yeah, and I just I just want Hogwarts Legacy to come out with like an actual date it's going to release.
Did I haven't really been following that game super closely. Did they didn't give an actual date. They just said did they give a year? Is it like next year or this year?
Uh, Not that I've seen, but I
I think
also
that's this year, I
not like an
believe.
official date though. But like I don't know if it even if it says like this year, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like unless I get a hard date, I don't. It's nebulous.
sure. Well,
Uh,
hopefully you'll be able to do your Hogwarts sooner than later.
I just yeah no that's the game I'm most excited for. But yeah. What about you though, Ryan? What have you been playing? What are you excited about?
The heck?
Uh-oh.
What the heck? We have
Uh-oh.
technical difficulties.
Hold on a
R-
second. I lost
Ryan.
sound.
Uh-oh. Is your headset dead?
There we go. My headset
There it
turned
is.
off.
Okay. You good now?
Yeah, I'm good. My headset turned off, and for some reason, I don't know. It usually when my headset turns off, it'll go doo 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 doo, and I'll know it turned off, but it didn't do that this time. So I was confused.
But yeah, back to my question. What have you been playing? What are you excited about?
Okay, so listen, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, and matter of fact, I uh, I made a new character about I want to say a week or so ago. Because like the thing about every Souls game, save for uh, save for like Bloodborne, is that like I always do by default I do the heavily armored sword and shield guy like every time, and I was just like I should really stop playing these games the same way every single time. And so I made a guy who's half dexterity and half intelligence, which allows him to use a lot of magic. So currently, I have this guy who has this katana called Moonveil that shoots out waves of magic and also does a whole lot of damage. And in my other hand, I'm holding a staff that can like shoot other spells out. And it's been a lot of fun. I've never done a magic build in any Souls game before, so it's been a lot of fun playing it that way. Apparently, that's easy mode. That has thus far not been my experience, but
Well, that's a different playstyle than what you've been playing.
yeah,
So it's also like just getting used to that.
yeah,
Because like some of the like builds I saw with Witcher 3 that people say well, it's an optimized build. I tried doing them and I was like, I don't like playing like this. I'm doing terrible. I was much better with my last build.
yeah, and so like I'm used to like relying on my shield, right? I'm used to like just blocking a lot more than I'm dodging. And here I don't have a shield, so I'm dodging all of the time and having to get better at that. But honestly, it's been a lot of fun, and I feel like the game is more engaging this way. So
Nice.
that's been great, and I don't know when or if I will finish this game. I feel pretty confident that I will because it's still feeling very compelling, and I'm discovering all these new areas all the time, and it's really cool. The one thing that like has persisted throughout the entire series though is that the PvP component is just so bad, and I just wish that it just wasn't there. It's just so like it's so laggy and just unresponsive and just generally terrible, and I hate it. But a million other people seem to like it, as evidenced by the 1,000 times I got invaded last night by people with names like Poopy Butthole and like 69 Sucks and stuff like that. But overall, it's been a really good time. I also feel like
The last name is factual.
one thing that's really unique about this game, as opposed to the other games that preceded it, is that it very much seems designed to be played with other people, like cooperatively. It seems to have like a more of a really heavy focus on cooperative play in the way that the other games really didn't. And I thought that was really interesting. And
That seems bad.
I'd like to say that I'm
if the
probably
online
going to beat it
isn't
in the
good.
next week or so, but I know that's a lie because Tiny Tina's Wonderlands comes out later tonight, and that's probably going to sidetrack me a little bit, or a lot of bit, quite a bit.
Ryan.
I'm not entirely
Hello?
sure
Hello.
what that game is going to be like going into it. I know that it's got more magic, but
Ryan, your headset.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me.
Ryan.
What?
Going back to Elden Ring, you're saying that you like this multiplayer component, this co-op component or whatever, but like a sentence or two before that, you're talking about how bad the online is.
No.
So-
No. Listen. This what I'm
So
saying.
the PvP.
The PvP
is bad.
specifically
The
is
cooperative
bad.
Is not.
The cooperative is fine because like
So are they doing like
Come on,
two
Tommy.
different sort of connections for those then? 'Cause that's
So,
rare.
it's weird, right? Because like they're with the monsters move with like specific patterns, right? And they move like in
Right.
specific ways, and it's a lot less noticeable when stuff isn't syncing up correctly because like there it feels like there's things to compensate for that, but like other players are so much more unpredictable
Yeah.
that it just feel like everything feel like I'll see the guy that I'm attacking, right? He obviously didn't dodge when I slashed at him, but then he'll dodge like a second later and take no damage and things like that. It's just generally frustrating, and that's been a thing like throughout every game, and that's why I just don't engage with that aspect willingly usually.
They need that rollback.
Yeah, and also like it sucks though, right? Because like if you're playing solo, you won't get invaded. But if you have at least one other person with you, then that's when other people can invade you. So, but I think that the online for any Souls game is generally not great, but the PvE with cooperatively with your friends is fun.
Yeah.
It's just like the engaging with like people who are trying to kill you is just like very tedious, especially considering the fact that like now we're dealing with like an open world environment. Like now we're dealing with like an open world environment, and like the problem is that like it takes people a long time to find you, for one, and then when they do find you, it's very easy for them to like kind of like stay away from you and like menace you from like a distance.
From
And-
afar.
yeah, and it's just like
I'm just gonna creep and watch.
there's this one
and
time.
you feel uneasy about it.
Well, it wasn't even that, right? Like, there was this one time, like, last week, I think, where I was playing with some friends, and there was this guy who just, like, repeatedly taking pot shots at us for, like, 20 minutes. And it's just, like, leave me alone. And,
Guerrilla warfare.
I don't know. Well, he was doing that and, like, also, like, trying to, like, lure us into, like, because the monsters in the world won't actively engage, like, an invader, but, like, if
If you're in their
Yeah.
area.
But like if me or one of my friends gets into the vicinity of the monster, then the monster will attack them. So they're always trying to lure us into those monsters, and it's whatever. But yeah, overall it's a great game, and I hope to finish it. I've finished every Souls game that I've actually actively put a lot of time into. So I don't think this will be any different. But this game is fucking massive though, so I don't know how much longer it'll take. Also, like I said, I'm excited for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands coming out later tonight in
What is
about
that?
5 hours.
Or,
So
what is that again?
so basically, it's a game in the Borderlands universe that is
That's what I thought.
yeah. So it takes place inside of a fictional tabletop game called Bunkers and Badasses, and this time around, there's going to be a mixture of guns and magic and melee combat. And this time you're actually creating your own character, which is a first for the series. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward very much to seeing what the character customization is like. I'm kind of tempering my expectations given my recent experiences with character creators. But we'll see. It's Borderlands, and I like Borderlands, so I'm sure I'm gonna have a good time. And I think the last two things I've been playing are Horizon and Knockout City with my wife, and that's been a lot of fun. So I feel better about Knockout City because like before I was kind of avoiding competitive focused games because like it was getting my blood pressure up too high. Like it was making me like really nervous, and I felt like I couldn't play those games, and I was missing out on playing this game with my wife because like she we really enjoy playing it together. But I've been sitting out because I didn't like the way it was affecting me physically. But lately it hasn't been affecting me that way, and I've been able to have a pretty good time. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm happy about that. So, but that's really it. That's all I've been playing. Nothing too major. Just vibe it. Oh, Tom, I got to tell you. I did tell you, Tom. I told Tom the other night that I played 10 minutes of Bound by Flame the other night just to see if we had been exaggerating all these years. And I am going to say we were not. As a matter of fact, that game was worse than I remembered it being. I played it for 10 minutes, and then I was
well, Ryan, it doesn't get good until after fucking whatever.
Fuck that. but like
It takes 15 hours to really appreciate this game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so during the initial unskippable cutscene, I was listening to like this voiceover, and I was just like the whole time I was just like, and then
just looking real unenthused about all of it.
well, because I remember me and Tom had this conversation a while back about like one of the things specifically in that game that was really bad is the dialogue and the shit that people say in that game is just so fucking dumb all of the time.
Very poorly written.
And so like I'm listening to this voiceover and I'm like, this is stupid. But I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I can create my character. All the character options are ugly, so I just kind of randomized it. And they're like, all right, you can control
Call
your
people ugly, Ryan. That's rude.
Okay, let me another word is unsightly is the word I was looking for. And,
Homely.
Yeah, homely. Precious.
I haven't
But-
called homely.
Yeah, so like they get to you to the point where you can control the character, and they're like, first thing you get to do is chores. You got to do chores first, and then you get to the point by the
I do them. It's a fact of life.
that's true, but I have to do chores in real life. I don't want to have to do them in the video game. You know what I mean?
So you don't like Sims?
So I don't like Sims. No, but see, that's the difference. The thing about the Sims is that they're doing the chores. I just watch them do the chores.
And you don't have to do them.
Yeah, I don't have to do them. But like
That's fair enough, I guess.
yeah, I don't have to do them. I don't have to let them go to the bathroom. I don't have to let them go to work. I don't have to let them eat, I choose to. That's the difference. But then you get to and so in Bound by Flame, by the time we get to the point where there's actual fighting, I'm like, this is so fucking bad. And that's the point where I was like, I didn't even finish that first fight. I was like, we were right the whole time. This game is bad. And matter of fact, I was like, because I played it on PlayStation Now, so I didn't have to buy it, right? And I was like, how much is this game selling for these days? That game is on sale right now for $1.99.
Damn.
So, the one thing that I will say that they added that they didn't have before is, as someone who inverts the y-axis, I noticed that they let you invert the y-axis. At some point, they added that.
Bravo.
At some point, they patched that in. So they did one thing. They did one thing that I like. Unfortunately, all of it, the rest of it is garbage. So do not play that game. Do not do what I did and revisit that game if you've played it before, because it is still bad. I promise. So. That's why you don't take video game recommendations from Tumblr.
Well, I mean, nobody should.
Yeah,
Even after they removed all the porn, it's still a terrible place.
sure. I'd say it's a worse place now.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of that porn is real gross.
I mean, sure.
What? I don't really know how to. I guess like the best way to word the question is: have you ever played a game and like thought like you know the naming conventions of something is particularly good or bad?
What do you mean?
So, like, because one of the things I try to notice that I really liked about Witcher is that a lot of like, the sword names and like names for other things, I think like all make sense, and I know like it's all because like they're all based off like cultures that exist.
Sure.
As far as like towns and stuff go,
Mm-hmm.
but like particularly the weapons, like they normally have like pretty badass names or really like interesting names.
Like Skull Ripper.
No, it's like some of them sound elvish, but they all sound like things that like people would actually call their swords.
There was like back, I want to say in the 90s, it must have been in the 90s, Midway kept publishing these like really bad fighting games, like 3D fighting games, you know? And they published one called War Gods.
Oh yeah.
And like I don't remember, I couldn't tell you any of the characters' names, but I remember them all not being great, you know?
Yeah, because even though I do like Borderlands, and like they're supposed to be funny, like most of the names their guns suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they revolve around a theme too, right? Like the very corporate Hyperion ones have names like Conference Call and Corporate Synergy and things like that.
Yeah, they're supposed to be funny. Like some of them are. Some of them I just remember just being like, okay.
Yeah.
Boner farts.
Napoleon Bonaparte.
One of the things that like I always thought was weird was, and I think this is like it's something that I've seen in every, well, not in every like fantasy action RPG that I've ever played. There's always like clothing items that are like breeches of the bear or doublet of the falcon, and I'm always like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what makes it of the bear? What makes it of the falcon?
Witcher, it makes sense because like all like the feline armor, the ursine armor, the wolven armor, they're all named after the different branches of the Witcher.
Yeah.
So there's like the different schools. So at least like those, they all make sense. But I do know what you mean. I don't necessarily think they all have to be amazing names because like if you like you're in a new region called I don't know,
Bonefardia.
If you're like, oh, Bonefardia pants, I'm like, all right, that makes sense because this is the region. This is the type of pants they wear.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily bad naming conventions. I just think like sometimes like when they do try to go like with like Borderlands where they're like really funny, it's like it's real hit or miss if it's actually good or not.
Yeah.
But there's also just like I just also remember like some games I'm just like they're like, oh, what sword are you using? I'm just like, this is the name of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that like a lot of it comes down to like, I think a lot of the games are trying to like kind of establish like some sort of identity for themselves and kind of try to bring like whatever world this is like alive and like give it some character. And it is the assumption that the inhabitants of this place are naming these things. But like the weird thing is that like a lot of the time you get to the point where, and especially where if you're in a position where you're picking up a lot of these things, you kind of just stop noticing after a while, right? Like you kind of like especially like if we're talking about like a loot-based game, you're noticing like is it green, purple, or yellow? That's all I need to know, right? And then you just kind of stop paying attention to them. And I think that Assassin's Creed kind of had that issue for a while, where like at one point like they would try to name their weapons like things that were kind of like they would give the weapons like names that were kind of grounded in reality, like things that people would actually refer to these weapons as. but like after a while, like you're picking like specifically in terms of like Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you're picking up so many of these things that you kind of just stop noticing them. You kind of stop noticing what they're called because you have a million of them. And then you get to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where it's not so much of a loot-based system anymore. Like you're discovering new weapons that you didn't have, but like there's only one of that weapon at now. Like you're collecting one. Like if you have this sword, there's only one of this sword in the game world, so you're not gonna find another one. So the name kind of has a little bit more meaning that way. You know.
What about the Souls games? I never really got into any of those. Like, not really. Do they have any cool naming conventions?
A lot of the time with the weapons that you find, like a lot of the like more generic weapons, they are named exactly what they are. So
blunt sword.
Basically, like you found this rusty sword or like whatever, right? Or like there's this one sword that's like Royal Soldier's longsword. And it's like, but there are like a million of those because there's a bunch of these royal soldiers walking around. So there's a bunch of those. But then you get to the point where you start finding like these more, what do they call them? Like, I don't think they're called unique weapons, but like they're more unique weapons. And so they do have more unique names.
Prestigious weapons?
Yeah, they do have more distinct names to them, right? Like they're, like I mentioned earlier, I have this katana called Moonveil. And there's also like,
that does sound dope.
And there's also this other sword that I found that's like it's called Night and Blood sword or something like that. And like the
Blood in Blood Out sword?
Yeah, it's the Blood in Blood Out sword. This is the William Forsythe.
Oh man, there's a scythe called William Forsythe in that game.
But I like that though, Ryan. Like I like when it's a mix of both like that, because like with Nier, right? Like there's weapons that have like a solid name, but they don't really mean anything, like Beastbane or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And like all the weapons have stories to them that you get more of as you level up those weapons.
Right.
But there's like Lead Pipe, you know?
Yeah.
But then there's stuff like Virtuous Treaty and Virtuous Contract and stuff like that, and it like having names of weapons that like don't really matter, along with like other unique weapon names, like more unique weapon names, make those seem more important. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
It builds the lore a lot without having to necessarily do a whole bunch,
right?
Because like you realize that like there's classes of things going on without it just saying like, hey, this is a better sword.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then, like, I also think about games like I think about like games like Let It Die, where like the whole I'm not really sure of how much, like, I'm not sure how much like Suda51 actually like had his hand in the development of this game, but the game definitely has like a lot of his influence in it. I guess mainly because it came out of Grasshopper Manufacture, but like it's one of those games.
I do think that's him though, because like Grasshopper has made games that you know that have nothing to do with him, that very obviously have nothing to do with him. You know, like Liberation Maiden, you would not know it was like it's a Grasshopper game, but it is in no way a Suda game. You know?
And it's one of those games where not a whole lot makes sense. Like you're given a kind of like the core conceit of the world and kind of what's happening, but a lot of the moment to moment interactions within the world don't make like a whole lot of sense. And so when you have an environment where so much is like ridiculous, then you can kind of just call things whatever you want and no one is going to say anything. And by that extension, then you can also make them look however you want because they're named ridiculously. This world is ridiculous, so like make everything ridiculous, right? Like, you know, a lot of the weapons in the game are things like one of the weapons I remember is it's a hockey stick, and at the end of the hockey stick are like two knives, and I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it doesn't have the word hockey or stick in it. It's just like it's something ridiculous because like you can kind of just like
Too Nice McGee.
Yeah, it's called Too Nice McGee. It might as well, because I think that, like, again, when you have a world like that, a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense, and so you don't have to worry about naming them things, anything, something that makes sense, because, like, why bother? And
Yeah.
and so with that and with that too, like, you have enemies in there who are like name things like the Crimson Foil and things like that, and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, but I don't know that it's that important, but sometimes I think it is. Depending.
It's a small feature, and like,
Yeah.
and it adds a little bit or detracts a little bit of enjoyment in the game.
Yeah.
But do y'all have any closing thoughts for this episode?
Yeah. If you're picking up Persona Ultimax, there's no rollback right now. And a lot of people are pissed that there's no rollback right now, right?
Yeah.
But it's coming in the next update. And, like, I get it, right? I understand why everybody wants rollback in all their fighting games nowadays. But, like,
Yeah.
people forget that, like Street Fighter 4 is what brought back fighting games from basically the dead.
Yeah.
And that game had delay-based netcode.
And that game is
And
awesome.
And that's where all your pros were playing,
Yeah.
Like, it's
Your
not...
pros were
It's
doing-
not that bad. Like, yeah, can you notice? Yeah, sure, you can notice, but, like,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
closing thoughts from you, Ryan?
Yeah. I love you. I love both of you guys very much, and I wanted to say that on the air.
So
Cut
I-
it. Cut that
I
out.
love you. I love you both too. Ryan a little bit more than Tom. Just to be factual. But you can listen to us on most podcast apps. If you want to see our beautiful faces, we're on the YouTubes. We also have a Discord that will be linked somewhere. And bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.